Sea. A task force of the Indian Navy's Eastern Naval Fleet, including a guided missile destroyer, INS Ranvijay, a guided missile frigate, INS Shivalik, and 2 missile and anti-submarine warfare corvettes are being sent for a series of bilateral and joint exercises over the next 60 days. It's a big statement that India is making. The bilateral exercises will be with countries like Vietnam, Philippines, Malaysia, Australia, and Indonesia. What's also extremely interesting is the fact that Malabar 2021 will be in the Western Pacific Ocean with Quad partners Australia, Japan, and the United States of America. As India-China standoff continues in Ladakh for over 15 months and Beijing rapidly builds up military infrastructure both in Tibet and Xinjiang, the Indian Navy's Eastern Naval Fleet is sending out 4 warships, including a guided missile destroyer, a guided missile frigate, and 2 corvettes to South China Sea. The 2-month-long mission will see a series of bilateral and joint exercises, including with Quad partners in the Western Pacific. The Navy in a statement has said that the exercises are a part of the country's Act East policy to enhance military cooperation with friendly navies. The move to sail through South China Sea is being seen as a significant and not so subtle message to China.
Indian Navy sending the ships to South China Sea is a very routine thing. We are looking at it from a different perspective because of Galwan. And yes, the relationships with China have not been so good for the last year and a half now, since they did the Galwan, skirmishes happened. And after that, you've also seen how they are, using the strong arm tactics.
The Navy in a statement said the deployment of Navy ships seek to underscore the operational reach, peaceful presence, and solidarity with friendly countries towards ensuring a good order in the maritime domain and to strengthen existing bonds between India and countries of the Indo-Pacific. This is not the first time that Indian Navy ships have sailed through South China Sea, but the importance of INS Ranvijay, a guided missile destroyer, INS Shivalik, a guided missile frigate, INS Kora, a guided missile corvette, NIS Kadmat, an anti-submarine warfare corvette cannot be underscored. The task force of the Eastern Naval Fleet will operate in Southeast Asia, South China Sea, and the Western Pacific Ocean for over 2 months.
India's Eastern Fleet has deployed a force of 4 ships to the South China Sea. A lot is being read into this deployment, but this is nothing unusual. The Indian Navy has been doing overseas deployment for a long time. We have strong maritime ties with countries in Southeast Asia. The fleets frequently sail out east of Malacca Straits and operate in the South China Sea.
These are bilateral exercises scheduled with navies of Vietnam, Philippines, Malaysia, Australia, and Indonesia. The Indian Navy will also participate in the crucial Malabar 21 exercise in the Western Pacific with the navies of Australia, Japan, and the United States of America. France has just concluded a patrol in the South China Sea, and the German Navy has also sent a Brandenburg-class frigate in the hotly contested waters to send across a strong message of ensuring keeping the sea lanes of communication free. Bureau Report, India Today. Sandeep Puneethan with me on this big story. Shiv, 60 days, 4 warships out in Southeast Asia, South China Sea, and in the Pacific. What's the big signal, Sandeep?
Well, Gaurav, the signal is very clear, as the experts have mentioned, that this is not a very unusual deployment. the Indian Navy has been routinely sending ships out into the Pacific, and they all have to pass through the South China Sea. Now, a point that the Indian Navy and indeed the government of India has been underscoring is the fact that the South China Sea is not anybody's territorial waters. There is something called the freedom of navigation, and it's a global commons. It's a very important passage connecting the Indian Ocean with the Pacific Ocean, and voyages like this, deployments like this, seek to underscore the point that we've been making all over the last couple of years, that the South China Sea is open and free for navigation for all the countries that choose to travel through it. That's point number one. The second point, of course, Gaurav, is the composition of the warships that are taking part in these exercises. If you look at it, one of our anti-submarine corvettes is going there as well. I believe this is the first time that it's undergoing such a long deployment. This is one of our new acquisitions. The emphasis is on anti-submarine warfare, Gaurav, and in the Malabar exercises that we're going to see in Guam, that is going to be the focus of the exercises, because as we've all seen in the last couple of years, China's growing submarine fleet has caused enormous concern throughout Asia, especially Southeast Asia. There are a lot of countries that have been going and buying submarines to counter this threat, and indeed exercising. They're conducting anti-submarine warfare drills. It's a big concern for us. We want to know the latest, tactics, technologies that are available to counter this rising submarine fleet. And indeed, the last few installments of Malabar have revolved exclusively around the detection, tracking, and hunting of submarines, Gaurav. So that's going to be a very important
absolutely
aspect.
Which is where India and Quad partners play a very crucial role, whether it's Japan, Australia, the United States of America. Another aspect, while people think it's a huge ocean and submarines can disappear anyway, and at least the adversary would think that's an advantage, but entry points into our waters or exit points from their waters, those are constantly manned. So submarines, for them to pass undetected, is that virtually impossible, Sandeep?
It's not impossible, Gaurav. And in fact, what's been happening from 2013 on, when the Chinese Navy has been deploying their submarines into the Indian Ocean on the pretext of anti-piracy patrols, all the submarine deployments have been carefully monitored by the Indian Navy in collaboration with the foreign partners, especially the United States. And this is where the true strength of the Quad comes in. You have countries like Australia and Japan, and of course the United States, that have decades of submarine hunting experience. They have the best platforms in the world. They have the kind of technologies that the rest of the world is yet to adopt. We are going into a Western model of submarine hunting, Gaurav, after many years of our ASW, anti-submarine warfare skills atrophying. We are now beginning to reacquire them with a whole range of new platforms like the P8I, the MH60s, and the most important part is to exercise with partners like the United States, Japan, and Australia, who all not only operate the similar platforms like the helicopters and the P8Is, but also have the kind of expertise and the ability to track submarines the minute they leave port. This is a very big area of concern for us, and we depend on partners in the Quad to alert us about the submarine movements through choke points, their deployments, because if you can track a submarine, then you can sure as well detect it, track it, and hunt it.
Absolutely, and this is where intelligence sharing, joint operations and joint exercises play a very crucial role. Sandeep Puneethan, Shiv Arur, our entire team and I will track the story very closely. For the moment, Sandeep, many thanks.